Hello there guys, Francis Gray here and welcome back to a brand new Halloween prop build, and in today's video we're going to be making a giant vampire bat. I'll see you after this. Okay guys, so about 2 years ago I got one of those novelty huge spiders that you get in Halloween stores, and I did a lot of work on it and I pimped it out into this very creepy looking, almost realistic, a little bit too realistic sometimes, huge giant spider. And there's a few times I've gone into my crawl space to get the Halloween decorations out, completely forgetting that I made this, and I terrify myself. It's really dark in here. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to be following on with that theme. So we are going to be taking one of those huge novelty vampire bats and we're going to be pimping it out into a really cool one-off Halloween collectible that we can display every year. So sit back and enjoy, and I will see you at the end. Okay guys, so welcome back to a brand new video. So as you can see here we have a vampire bat skeleton, and we got this from George in Asda and we paid £25 for it. So as you can see here, the wings clip out. So once displayed, that is actually pretty huge. So it doesn't really make sense that it's got ears. So obviously the jaw comes down as well. It doesn't really make sense that it's got ears because obviously it's bone. So, but once this is finished being worked on, this is going to look really cool. So yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start by taking off the base. So for the first thing we're going to do, now the only other thing is this on the back. Now I'm not too sure if I'm going to keep this or not. Well, then again, saying that, I was thinking could I display it like hung up, but I don't know, it's not really working for me. I think I'd prefer to hang it upside down like that. So yeah, let's go ahead and cut this off as well. Okay, so first things first, now we're gonna have to go ahead and make some kind of bat wings. So looking through my stash of stuff, I came across this. Now as you can see there, it's just a little bit shy on size. So I might have to cut this in sections to see if I can make it fit. But in theory, this could work rather well. Okay, so that is roughly more or less the idea. So as long as it can be cut to shape, I think we're good to go. Okay, so with these we have thousands of these tiny little screws just holding this together. So in theory, because this was a two-part mold injected prop, it should come straight in half. So if we can take this completely apart, then in theory we could sandwich the vinyl in between, and then I don't have to glue anything in between, it's just already held in place. So we need to go ahead and remove some of these screws. Okay, so it seems like we have some little hidden secrets ones here, like different plugged up sections, so this might have made this that little bit more tricky. Okay, the only thing I can think of doing is drilling these out. Okay, so this is what you normally get after drilling them out. So they just, once you've drilled them, they seem to just come out really easy. So that's a good sign. Okay, this is going to take forever, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the next step.
The next step.
So after a long time of taking a lot of screws out, and we're talking probably about 80 screws, it finally was in two halves, and it could be all took apart, and we can get those wings separate, so we can work on those, well, separate.
No way! Yes way!
Okay, so now that we've got the wings separate and in half, and for the next stage we're going to take some of that vinyl, set it into the middle of between both sides, try and keep it as straight as possible, and make sure everything's nice and tight. And then I'm going to go in with a sharp nail, and then that's going to skewer through the vinyl to make a channel hole so we can add the screws back in place. And in theory, if done correctly, I shouldn't need to glue these in place.
Okay, so this part here has proved a problem, because obviously we need the bat skin or the bat wings to go flush into the actual bat itself, but this being more elevated up creates a problem. So the only idea that I've got at the moment, now this might go brilliantly or it might be a total mistake, but I'm thinking about cutting a straight line down here and then folding this over the top and then seeing if that works. Okay, so that is the general idea for now. So far so good. So now I need to go ahead and do the exact same but with this wing. So no point showing you that because you've already seen it, so I'll just show you the next step.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Okay, so that's both wings done, so let's go ahead and try to add the main body. Right, this part's going to be really tricky. I can't see how this is going to stretch all the way across. So what I might have to do is improvise and just cut to the size of the wings and then add a separate part for this part here.
Okay, so for this part now, the bottom part of the bones on the wings are solid, so those where it didn't come in half. So there's no way to put the fabric in between. So the only way I can get around that is to go in with a sharp scalpel and add a simple score mark straight down the middle, and then we can hopefully make these work via the sides rather than in between, if that made any sense.
What?
So now I'm going to go in for a black Sharpie and I'm going to draw the basic outline of where the bat wings go inverted in and out, and then we can go in with some sharp scissors and we can trim off the excess. And now that wing's been done, we need to go ahead and recreate the exact same steps for the other wing.
Stop it. Get some help.
So now that part of the underwing is done, we need to go ahead and do the same with the other side. So now that those are done, we need to do the exact same, but this time with the top of the wing. So this is connecting the wing to the top collarbone, if you like, of the bat itself. And now I'm going to have to move the inner parts of the inner wing that leads to the rib cage and the legs, purely because there's not enough fabric there to bridge that gap, and according to diagrams of bats, this needs to connect to the bottom of the legs. So it looks like I'm going to have to go out and get some more fabric.
Okay, so that's the main two wings done. Now, according to this diagram of a bat, this part should connect to here, and then this goes up, and then it's supposed to connect to here. But with this being like in two different levels, it's made that a lot more difficult. So I went to the local stockist, and thankfully they had a little bit of that same fabric left. This is the last. So I bought what was left. So in theory, if we open these back up, I might be able to get rid of that. We might be able to sandwich a flat rectangle piece in here, and then we can make the necessary alterations.
So that little part we don't need no more, because this needs to be a new piece of fabric joining the both wings to the centre body. So yeah, great fun. I need to go ahead and take some of these screws back out again, and we need to basically take the wings off, and we need to try our best to try and remember how this is going to go back together, and then we're going to have to try and insert that cloth again. Now this part's going to be tricky, because not only do I have to put a new part of cloth in, I also have to make sure that the old cloth is still wedged in place, and this was a bit of a nightmare. So would it have been easier if I knew where I was gonna, like, the pitfalls was gonna be, so I could have just done it with hopefully just one big piece of vinyl. So obviously do the main wings separate because they're from like a different level, and then the main body onwards would have been totally different, and it would have been better if I could have glued the fabric and then put the two halves of the skeleton together, if that makes any sense. I hope it does, but yeah, it still works, but it was a lot more fiddly because whenever I tightened a screw, it would pull on the fabric and some fabric came out.
Okay, not gonna lie, that was actually really difficult to do. Okay, so what's left now is for us to do this wing and attach it.
So same again, I just need to try and sandwich the new vinyl in the two halves of the wing and not disturb the vinyl that we pre-cut to measure. So when I did eventually manage this, I then realised I had too much fabric and I needed to chop off a good couple of inches. So yeah, not gonna lie, this was really fiddly and parts kept popping back out, and yeah, it was a nightmare.
Pop. Pop, 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 pop.
Okay guys, so I think I'm going to struggle with these parts here. They just seem to be coming out all the time. And it doesn't matter what I do, it just seems to be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill and screw some rather large screws and try and keep this in place.
So now I need to try and secure that rib cage in place because now the fabric is added on, it's made this a lot thicker, so bigger screws. So, and now I need to draw a line and carefully cut from the wings to the legs. Now this is very important because if I go wrong here, I've got to take this all back apart and I've got to do it all again. So this part I really have to concentrate on. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was intense, but thankfully all's well that ends well. So we now have all the skin that we need to make this bat. So now that we can crack on with the rest of the build, now we need to go ahead and secure this bat mouth in place because I need to fill the inside of that jawline because this isn't going to be a skeleton bat. It's obviously going to be more like a proper vampire bat. So super glue to the rescue!
How dare you!
Okay, so for the next part we're going to go in with some. Okay, so for the next part I'm going to go in with some of this stuff, which is expanding foam. I'm going to shake it up nice and good, and we're going to go ahead and square it on in the inside of the rib cage. under the chin, and then once those are hardened, flip it around, and then we'll do the same on the back.
Alright. Later, in the void.
So after leaving this overnight to fully harden, as you can see there, we've got way too much excess, so we need to go ahead and chop that off. So at the moment it looks like he's had a bit too much blood, so yeah. So I'm just going to shave it off with just a regular kind of like bread knife that I don't use anymore, because obviously you don't want to be eating with this afterwards. So you can see I just trim it down to make it look a lot more natural, and then shave off his new beard.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
So now that that's done, we flipped the bat 180 degrees, and now we get to do the back of the rib cage and under his ears.
Hours later.
So once again, left a good 24 hours to fully dry, and now we can go ahead and carve this turkey up.
Get the idea.
Okay guys, so for the next part we need to go ahead and recreate some kind of eyeball for both eye sockets. So I've had a good look through my bit box and I found these, and I'm not right too sure what they are actually from, but as you can see there, they look like some kind of like toy projectile that fires out. Now there is this like tennis ball kind of aspect to them, so that might prove a problem later on. I'm not too sure, but they are the right size for the socket, so I think these are going to work great. So my first instinct is maybe to drill a hole in the eye socket, and then we can use this part as a peg system. Okay, I'm going to go in with the last of the super glue, and we're just going to go ahead and super glue them in place. So for the next part we need to go ahead and start coating over this, and we need to fill out some of the details around the eyes. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go in with some Das air dryer modelling clay, and we're just going to try and fill out as much as we can. So at this point you don't want to just chuck this on too thickly, because we want to try and capture that lovely rib cage detail. So just mush it out nice and thin, and then apply it on, and then mush it in there amongst the other clay.
Right.
So a regular old brush goes a long way to making some nice fair patterns.
Yay, lovely jubbly!
So now that that's done, we need to go ahead and do the same process, but for the underside of the bat's chin. And while the modelling clay is still out, I might as well go ahead and fill in around the eyes to make this look a little bit more natural. And seeing as I still had a ball of modelling clay in my hand, I decided to go ahead and make this fella a new nose.
And for the next part, I'm just going to take little bits of it and I'm going to shove it in all these little holes to hide the screws.
So same again guys, just the same air dry modelling clay. So this is going to, like, it will shrink, so there will be a surface that you can still see, but it will cover 98% of it. We can go in with other clays later on.
48 hours later.
So after a good 48 hours of drying time, it was now hard enough that I could just flip it around 180 degrees. I didn't have to worry about any of the details getting smushed or broken from the front part. So now that it's flipped over, we're going to do the exact same, but this time on the bat's, well, back.
Okay, so for the next bit I went ahead and made a big ball of Aves epoxy modelling clay, and we're going to go ahead and try and resculpt some of the missing details on the bottom of where the wings are.
So once I filled all those gaps in with Aves epoxy, and then I decided that I need to go ahead and do the exact same, but with all the screw holes on the back of the bat's head. And seeing as I had quite a lot of Aves epoxy left over, I decided to mush it on around the bat's neck, because obviously we don't want that to remain skeleton features, so this will just go a long way to adding some much needed bulk. So while that's drying, for the next stage I went in with a black acrylic and some PVA mixture, and I'm just going to go over the air dry modelling clay with this, and then that just goes a long way to help sealing the clay and making it a lot more durable.
Alright.
And now we're going to go into the garden, and we're going to go ahead and hang this heavy boy, because of all that modelling clay is now starting to be a bit more heavy now. So yeah, I'm going to put him on my washing line. As you can see there, he's weighing it down quite a bit. And yeah, I'm going to go back in with that black acrylic paint / PVA mix and we're going to do the back of the bat. So basically just exactly the same as the front. It's just protected.
So for the next part I'm going to go in with some of these. Now these are called fabric paints, and they are basically like rubber paint in an aerosol can. So you can paint stuff and then it's still flexible, so you don't have to worry about it cracking and breaking. So this, I'm going to go in with this stuff first, which is the exact same paint but just different colours. I'm going to go in with this thing first, which is like a white. This is just going to lay like a base coat so I can build up upon. And then I'm going to go in with this stuff, which is like a dark brown. I also have a black as well, I believe. So yeah, we can go ahead and use probably all of these. But just before we crack on, just want to talk about, look at that, talk about shrinkflation. So so this I bought from a local store, but unfortunately they stopped stocking it, and I paid £1 for it. This I had to buy on eBay, and they were £4 each. So £4, and you get way less. So is it just me, or is like the world getting crazy now? So but anyway, needs must, so let's go ahead and start spraying.
So to start this off, I'm going to go in with the white version of this rubber paint, and I'm just going to get it on in on the vinyl, and then that'll just go a long way to adding not only like a bit of thickness but also a little bit more of a protection to the vinyl, and also to keep it in place, which is a bonus. And once the front part was done, I then went around the back and then obviously did the back of the bat as well.
Yeah, boy.
So now that the first layer is dry, let's go in with all the various other colours and let's get this bad boy painted.
What follows is a brief construction montage. We hope you enjoyed this brief construction montage.
So for the next part, I'm going to go in with some various airbrush colours, and we're going to go ahead and airbrush this giant bat.
Cleanup on them is a nightmare.
Okay, so back in from the bedroom, and now we need to start thinking about adding some flair to this bad boy. So I went around my local charity shops today and I found these. I'm not 100% sure what they are. I don't know, the hand warmers maybe for women, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I've had a look at them, and according to the labels it says 100% acrylic, so I believe this is fake fur. So yeah, so don't worry guys, no animals were harmed in the making of this video.
Out of my way, beast!
So as you can see there, they're slightly different. They're similar but they're slightly different. Now originally I was a little bit disheartened because I found this today and I found this the other day. And when I came back home I was like, yeah, they're not correct, not 100%. But in a stroke of good luck, I've just been looking at some reference photos, and it seems that with vampire bats, the front fur tends to be on average lighter than the back fare. So if this just gets cut up and then glued on the back, and this gets cut up and glued and put on the front, then in theory we should be all good. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cut this apart somehow, and then maybe cut into strips, and then hopefully we can make this work. Okay, so I've just cut enough piece off, and this should fit roughly perfect around the neck area. So I'm just going to go ahead and same again with a PVA glue and try and stick it in place. Okay guys, so it's been about a good 18 hours and it does seem to be quite solid. So yeah, let's go ahead and flip this bad boy around, and then we can go ahead and start adding the exact same fare on the back. Okay guys, let's go ahead and leave that about 12 hours to fully dry.
The next morning.
So now that that fare is now nicely locked in place, for the next stage I'm going to go ahead with some, like a pinky mixture that I kind of made, and I'm going to go ahead and start laying the foundation colours for the inside of the bat's ears.
Get the idea.
So while we've got the paints out, I thought I might as well go ahead and start laying some foundation colours to the bat's eyes and around his mouth.
Okay, so this is what I have left over, so we need to go ahead and try and fill the rest of him out with just these few bits. Okay, so this strip here seems to fit here really well, a bit like a mohawk. Kind of reminds me of Stripe from Gremlins. So I know bat hair's not usually that long, but we can maybe go ahead and trim that later on.
So now that that's nicely glued in place, for the next part I'm going to go in with what I have left of the fur, and we're going to try and cut off little key parts that will fit the face, and we'll glow to make it look natural, and so it flows as all one headpiece rather than just come across as like clumps of fur that's just been glued on.
The following day.
Okay, so now that that's been left a good full 24 hours to fully dry, for the next stage I'm going to go in with what's left of the fur, and you guessed it, yes, we are going to go ahead and we're going to do the back of the bat's head.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
So while we go ahead and leave that to dry, I might as well go in with some various colours and try and highlight those teeth. And while the paints are out, I thought why not go in and do a bit more detail on the bat's eyes. And I'm going to go in with a little bit of gloss varnish from Vallejo. Now I'm going to mix a tiny little bit of black in with what's left. And this is going to make a black glaze that we're going to go over the eyes with.
Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Okay, so at this point I then realised that the nose that was on the bat was actually more reminiscent to the nose on like a fruit bat rather than a vampire bat. Vampire bats' noses are very different. So in that hindsight I decided that a giant vampire bat is a lot more cooler than a giant fruit bat for Halloween. So I had to go in with more Ibs epoxy modelling clay, and we're going to have to try and sculpt him a new nose.
10 seconds later.
Okay, that seems to be a lot better, so I'll go ahead and I'll leave that to dry, and then we can go ahead and start painting.
6 hours later.
So, with a little bit of paint here and a little bit of paint there, I think it's finally finished.
Warning, this video contains flashing lights which may not be suitable for photosensitive epilepsy.
Okay guys, so here he is, all finished, and I have to admit I am happy with the finished results. So it took a long time to do this one, and I know the video is a little bit on the long side, but I think it was well worth it in the end. And if you managed to get all the way through it, congratulations, you officially have my respect. But if you're one of those people that just skip straight to the end, well, thank you for watching anyway. So, once again, I'm Francis Gray, thank you for watching. If you really like this video, please slap that like button, share on Facebook and X, because it helps new people find the YouTube channel, which I'm always appreciative. Thank you for any help. If you have any comments, comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on other future crazy builds. And if you want to be a really awesome viewer, please take 5 minutes, check out my Patreon page, where with your help and support we can do these videos full time rather than part time, which means a lot more content for you guys and a lot more work for me. So, all that being said, once again, thank you for watching. I'm Francis Gray, and this is the giant vampire bat Halloween prop build. That's quite a mouthful. I'll see you in the next one.
If you like the content that I'm making, you'd like to support my work, here is a few links in the description, but only if you can afford it, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one.